Hi Sophie, thank you so much for sharing how to tie a Shelby knot, and here are my thoughts. I was somewhat interested in the speech because the topic was useful and it taught a practical skill. It may not apply to everyone, but this information is something people can use in the future, especially for those fancy events, formal events, weddings, things like that. You kept me very engaged by speaking clearly and showing enthusiasm for that topic, and your tone was very friendly and inviting, and you maintained really good eye contact, which helped me connect with you more. Your nonverbal communication, you use gestures and demonstrations effectively to support the speech. One thing that could be improved is maybe slowing down some of the movements because a few of the steps were difficult to follow at times, just when you were like tying it and things like that, especially at the more difficult parts. The speech had a very clear introduction. You started out with telling us a reason why you needed to learn it and why other people might needed to learn it as well. You had a very clear body. You started with the first step and so went on so far, which is pretty simple with having to tie a tie. It's just kind of straightforward. And then your conclusion was good as well. You tied back to the beginning of why you needed it, and then also explaining it to us as well, why we needed it as well. However, I do think stronger transitions between the steps would have made the organization even clearer. So let's say step 1, step 2, step 3, things like that. So let's say if I was tying a tie at the same time and trying to do it at the same time, having that steps cleared out, explained out directly would have been useful, especially if I was trying to concentrate on tying a tie as well. So your 3 strengths, you explained the topic very clearly. You did it very clear. You said exactly what needed to be done, and you did it in a very slow way, for explaining it. And then you appeared very confident and prepared. You knew how to tie the tie. You didn't hesitate. You didn't do any of that. You appeared very confident for all that. And then you used a good visual demonstration by tying the tie on yourself. I feel like that's a lot easier to show people how to tie a tie than, let's say, you're laying it on the ground and doing it, or tying it on something else, but tying it on yourself helped understand the process a little bit more. Some areas for improvement is you could slow down during the more detailed sections, especially when we get to the part where you're tying the tie over and then under. It can be a little difficult, so having that slow that down a little bit more would have been helpful. You could use stronger transitions between the points. Like I said, just doing like first, second, third. So if I was tying a tie at the same time, it would be easier for me to follow. And then you can make sure all the parts of the demonstration are visible to the audience. So there was sometimes that it was a little covered by the tie, and so we couldn't see exactly what you're doing. But overall, I thought this was a very effective speech. You were very knowledgeable, organized, and engaging, and with a few small improvements, I think the presentation would have been amazing. But yeah, great job.